Councilmember Grove, Councilmember Pay, Councilmember Milliman, Councilmember Rudnicki.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. If you will, please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, Council, you have had a chance to review the agenda. If you have any changes? Seeing none, it is approved. We'll move down to item number 4 on our agenda. Comments and reports. We'll start with the city manager, please.
No reports, Mayor. Thank you.
City attorney, you have no excuse tonight. Give us a report.
No report, Mayor.
Okay, we'll go to council members. We'll start with Mr. Rudnicki. Microphone, please.
Thank you. I met with the Arts and Culture Commission on the 8th of this month. I guess their charter from council is to come up with possibilities of the spending the money from the lodging tax, tax increase that might be on the ballot this November. It was a rather spirited conversation. First part of the meeting, they talked about 3 different tiers of possibly spending the money. 50% would go to tier 1 projects, Hudson Beam Museum, Town Hall Arts Center. 30% in their proposal is going to tier 2 items, which is all other arts and culture entities, and the remaining 20% is other, basically marketing of Littleton tourism. So what they're doing right now is working on their the framework for this possible money that might be coming in, and then they'll be working eventually on the policy for the disbursement of these funds. The second part, they broke up in subcommittees, and so it was a surprise to me. They started talking about possibility of proposing 1% of construction costs for buildings over a certain size be designated for the arts. They talked about other communities, for instance, Denver. I think Inglewood also has one, and several other communities. I think Boulder is another one, where they designate projects of over a certain size. 1%, 1.5% goes to the arts, whether it be statuary, artwork on the walls, murals, etc. They're also talking about some of that money being designated for maintenance. So that was the meeting.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, last night, myself and city manager, along with some other staff, attended the Littleton Business Chamber meeting, the first in-person meeting they've had in over a year. We had a great turnout, so thanks to all those people that attended. Last night they gave out a couple awards. Volunteer of the year 2020 was Corey Lundock, and then business of the year was Harley's. Harley's. So congratulations to Ed and crew. I also want to remind those people that are in the historic district or have received a ballot to vote whether or not they like the new boundary lines. That is due July 30th, so please get that in as soon as possible. Thanks.
Councilmember Pay.
I also attended that event last night, and going along with my liaison to the homelessness policy of the Tri-Cities, I had heard complaints that, or concerns, that some of the downtown business people were worried, not worried, concerned that there are homeless people, and so I met with the head of the Graceful Cafe, and we put together a preliminary plan for how to communicate and educate between the two groups, Graceful Cafe and downtown business people. And that's what we're really promising. That's something I love to do.
Good. Councilmember Miller. Red light.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thanks to everybody for coming tonight. I do have a couple of things to announce. First of all, I want to congratulate Kelly Nari and her entire team, and send out a thanks to Littleton Police Department. for helping to make the Littleton Jams at Harlow Park a couple weekends ago a lot of fun. If you haven't been to a Little Jams concert before, I highly recommend it. Just be prepared for everything to be aching next month. That's what you might be doing. And I also want to send a thanks to Mayor, Pro Tem Mayor Scott Malone. He gave a speech to a community group composed of religious leaders, community leaders that are advocating for more equitable housing policies within our community. If you haven't read the article in the Littleton Independent that David Gilbert did, please read that as well. It is fantastic. It was a great speech, and I really thank you for being an advocate for equitable housing in Littleton. And then the last thing I'd like to talk about is I did attend the Finance Board meeting last Thursday. They had their first in-person meeting. It was more of a meeting of catching up, and we did get to tour the collection of art City of Littleton owns. And Tyler, do you mind pulling up the picture? I want to share this picture that was shown to me after this meeting. I think it's a really fantastic historical piece from our city. This is a picture, obviously Dr. Martin Luther King, with then Mayor, Littleton City Mayor Thomas Heaton. It was taken on January 25th, 1964.
Let's talk about
And
how to
Dr.
get rid of
Martin
the
Luther King
homeless.
was invited to come speak to Littleton citizens. I think it was actually technically in unincorporated Rutherford County, and since
This place is deep.
where he gave his speech, and he took questions from citizens. He came at a time when our city was going through, our country was going through monumental change with regards to civil rights and justices. Came to speak to City of Littleton as there were unfair housing practices going on during that time. A group called Littleton Council on Human Relations invited Dr. King to come and speak and answer questions. And he's such a great communicator, and he's very open and welcoming to the conversation of these injustices. And so this leads me to please ask my council members. I heard a couple comments last week that were a little disturbing. I thought they were denigrating to the citizens of our community when if comments are made on in the built-in code, citizens come up and speak to us and tell us what they're concerned about. It's not a well-orchestrated comment. It's not a well-orchestrated community. People are coming to us. They are responding to us. We are hearing from our community about what's important and what's us. And so I ask each of us to be open-minded and welcoming to those conversations. This is our history going forward, and it's very important to our community. And that's all I have to share. And I just wanted to share this photo because I just think it's a fantastic reminder that we do need to keep our conversation moving forward. Thank you.
Councilmember Broome.
Welcome, everyone. I want to thank everybody that came out to the meeting last week at Progress Park. The weather was a little threatening, but we had a good turnout. Our pizza and jumping castle, and then so that was a nice evening. The next one is Wednesday, August 11th, 4 to 6 at Kipling Park. Hopefully the weather will be better, and come out and learn about the city and other organizations that are good for our community, that contribute to our community, as well as having a lot of fun and something to eat. And you get Andy's ice cream for dessert.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thanks, Mayor. I was very pleased to learn yesterday that the city has been awarded an Arapahoe County Open Spaces grant to pursue a water resources master plan, which, as many of you know, touches on a topic that I care a great deal about, and I'm looking very much forward to that process unfolding over, I'm told, the next 12 months. So stay tuned, get involved, and yeah, congratulations to
All right. I want to comment on Tommy too, as Councilmember Milliman mentioned, who's a former mayor. He went into service at 16 during World War II, and he won, I believe he even got a Silver Star, so he's quite the individual who had been in Martin Marietta, where I got to know. I got to work with him a little bit there, so it's pretty good. He was instrumental also in doing getting the World War II memorial put in the recognition. So yeah, he was quite the individual. Let's see, I will be attending a meeting this week regarding the congressional redistricting. There's different proposals out there, one of which is that would divide Littleton up. I'm advocating, unless anybody has any comments about it, Mayor Pro Tem and I very briefly just spoke and talked about it. I would like to see Littleton stay whole with one representative instead of dividing up our city. So that's where I'm going, unless there's any issues. Okay, thank you. Also, last week I got to open and welcome the Bernardo Circus and welcome them to Littleton. Yeah, they had 10 sold out shows, and I'll tell you what, that was old school circus. That was pretty cool to see. No animals involved. Let's see, and then Thursday, council, to remind you that July 22nd, Thursday at 7:30 a.m., we have the joint meeting with City Council from the City of Inglewood at the South Plant Renewal, formerly known as the wastewater treatment plant. All right, and with that, we'll move on. We don't have any citizens appearances tonight. We'll move down to our public comments. And Councilmember Grove, you would tell the public how this meeting will proceed.
Thanks, Jerry. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. The City Council is not authorized by the Colorado Open Meetings Law to discuss, comment, or take action at the meeting on any issue raised by public comment that is not part of tonight's agenda. The mayor may refer the matter to the city manager and or the city attorney for immediate comment after the public comment, or to staff to obtain additional information and report back to council as appropriate.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you. All right. It is 6:43 p.m. I'll open up the public hearing. We will start with Reagan Benson, followed by Frank Atwood. And Dana. Hello.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to come speak to you this evening, Mayor Valdez. I really appreciate it. So I don't live in Littleton, doesn't matter. I'm over here quite a bit. I have business in Littleton. I had a horrendous experience with your police department, a very bad experience. And I tried to follow a process that's really not defined on citizen complaints in the police department. And unfortunately, such a horrible job, I'm here tonight. Had they been doing their job, I wouldn't be here tonight. You may see me come more often, it depends. I like the idea of spending more time in Littleton to talk to the homeless community on your target and get rid of plan. This horrendous experience that I had with the police department generated an email to you, Mayor Valdez. And I'm sure you're quite familiar with this email. It's public record. Someone wrote to you to talk to you about this experience. And your response to him was appalling because of your lack of professionalism. You would have been better off not even sending a response. He was very kind, nice, appropriate in the email, explained everything, and you offered a 1-sentence response. What are you talking about? So he went into further detail to tell you what he was talking about. Your 1-line response, let me make sure I get this right. Hold on, let me put my glasses on. Thank you. Thank you for interrupting me. I'm not sure if you are running on all cylinders. Really? He is. And so am I. And I'm here to let you know that. And I'm here to let you know that I understand where this climate and culture is coming from in this police department. You. It's embarrassing. You should have used a little more professionalism and courtesy. You'll see some more displays of unprofessionalism and discourtesy from today's events over here trying to get records at the police department. When a commander came out and thought that he was so much smarter than me. No, his problem was he was arrogant. And he too is now on display. And your police officers, their arrogance is going to continue to be put on display because you have a climate and culture of a problem, a serious problem in your police department. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up will be Frank Atwood, and then Diana Foote, and then Robin Bernstein.
Good evening, City Council. I'm Frank Atwood from District 4. First, I'd like to say interesting accommodations here and that I miss Jerry Hill. And I'd like to coordinate purchase of the closest tree as a memorial tree to Jerry Hill, and the tree would be closest to his apartment. For the public, it will cost $325. Please see me if you're interested in contributing to a Jerry Hill memorial tree. Second, this past Thursday evening, I attended Historic Bulletin Inc.'s annual meeting and tree dedication. They dedicated 5 trees Thursday evening, number 76 of about 300 that are possible trees. I got to see my friend Rebecca Cast. When I mentioned to her the slot homes north of Main Street, surprisingly, she replied to me, "I'm blameless. I got off council more than a dozen years ago." That triggered from me, who is to blame? And she had no satisfactory answer. As a lengthy conclusion, will each of you in a dozen years reply you're blameless when we're discussing Littleton's small, quaint, small town character? I've previously discussed here the height differential to allow only 1-story differential between neighboring buildings. Is that part of the ULUC? I ask that you give the public, and especially current and former planning commission members, adequate time, I would think at least a month, if not more, to meet and review a 500-page document that as of today is still in draft status. I do appreciate, that concludes my remarks. I appreciate the timer clock. And once again, I'll state my request. I ask that you give the public, and especially current and former planning commission members, adequate time, at least a month, to meet and review a 500-page document that as of today is still in draft status. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up will be Diana Foote, and then Robin, and then Emily Tuck.
Bye, guys. Okie dokie. Which I'm going to. Just know that we spent some time today in Littleton. And yeah, the Littleton PD made some fine videos for us on our series of getting to know the Littleton PD. So I just had to come finish it up over here and address this asshole mayor. So I'm going to call it a day and head out. You guys have a good night, okay?